All right, so we've got a pretty hefty stack of client testimonials here about Team Renick, and our listener wants to know, like, what makes them different,
Yeah.
right? Like, what makes them stand out in the real estate world?
Yeah, and testimonials are a great way to get that unfiltered perspective.
Yeah.
Because a company can say all day long that they're, client focused and all that, but do they actually walk the walk?
Right, exactly. And looking through these, the first thing that jumps out at me is just how many people are praising Mike and Eric's responsiveness.
Uh-huh.
And it's not just like returning calls, it's answering texts late at night. It's responding to emails on the weekends. Like,
Yeah.
they're really going above and beyond to be available.
And that's interesting, right? Because that level of availability, it goes beyond just good service.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really suggests a very conscious and deliberate choice.
Yeah.
Like they're actually structuring their work to prioritize client needs.
Right.
And that's a really strong indicator of a client-centric philosophy actually in action.
Totally. And remember Denise's testimonial.
Uh-huh.
She got a flat tire on the way to closing, and Eric actually drove her there himself.
Exactly. That's not in any real estate agent handbook I've ever seen.
Right.
And to me, that points to a mindset of going above and beyond and like truly problem solving.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, like, if they're this dedicated to getting someone to closing, what are they like during the rest of the process?
Right. And a lot of these testimonials talk about Team Renick helping clients with things that are way outside the normal scope of a realtor.
Oh, yeah.
We've got stories of them like finding loan options for people who are struggling with that, or like arranging all the logistics for buyers who are moving from out of state.
Mm-hmm. Even disposing of unwanted furniture during COVID restrictions.
Like,
And what's fascinating is it's not just one or two isolated incidents. It's this recurring theme.
Yeah.
So it really makes me think that this isn't just like individual generosity. It's baked into how Team Renick operates.
There's even a story about Eric helping to reattach a car cover that had blown off.
Yeah.
I mean, how many realtors would even think to do that?
Right. It really challenges that stereotype of the, slick transactional agent.
Totally.
It suggests that they view their role as much more holistic. It's about helping people transition into a new home, not just handing over keys.
Okay, so they're clearly very dedicated to their clients, but you also wanted to know if that translates into actual results.
Right, because it's one thing to be, very nice and helpful, but does it actually lead to successful outcomes in the real estate market?
Yeah, and a lot of these testimonials don't just praise their service.
Right.
They talk about, successful transactions, even in really challenging market conditions.
Yeah, like what stands out to you in those stories?
Well, there's one where Tim and Gina sold their condo in just 3 weeks.
Wow.
Compared to the 3-month average for their area.
That's huge.
It's a huge difference, yeah.
Yeah, and that goes beyond just luck, right? That speaks to a deep knowledge of the local market and their ability to really price properties effectively to attract buyers.
So it's like their client-centric approach isn't just about being nice. It actually feeds into their effectiveness as realtors.
Precisely. By taking the time to understand their clients' needs.
Right.
And then combining that with their market expertise, they're able to create these win-win situations.
But are there any examples of their knowledge, like, really playing a key role in making a deal work?
Let's see. Leslie's story is pretty fascinating. She actually worked with Team Renick for 5 years before finding the right property.
Wow, 5 years.
5 years.
That's a long time.
And what's remarkable is that their commitment to her didn't waver over that entire period.
Yeah, they must really believed in helping her find the perfect place.
It suggests they prioritize finding the right fit over just closing any deal.
Yeah.
And if we connect this back to their responsiveness and proactive helpfulness, it starts to paint this picture of a team that's genuinely invested in their clients' long-term happiness, not just the immediate transaction.
And that, I think, is what really sets them apart.
Yeah.
It's not just about being a realtor. It's about being a partner in people's biggest life decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're seeing a pattern here. They're highly responsive, they're proactively helpful, and they have the market expertise to back it all up.
Yeah.
It's not just about being nice. It's a recipe for achieving real results for their clients.
Yeah.
But what about their negotiation skills?
Oh, good point.
Do we have anything on that?
Let's see. Javier and Stephanie's story gives us a little insight into that.
Okay.
They wanted to see this specific condo, but they were initially blocked by another realtor.
Really?
Yeah, and Team Renick actually stepped in and fought for their right to view the property.
Why would another realtor try to stop them?
It seems like the other realtor was trying to steer them towards a different property. Maybe they thought the condo wasn't a good fit or had some other motives, but
Wow, so Team Renick had to like go head to head with another realtor to get their clients access to the property they wanted.
yeah, it really highlights their commitment to their clients' best interests
Yeah.
and their willingness to stand up for what they believe in.
So it's not just about finding properties and being nice. They're also willing to like fight for their clients' rights and make sure they have access to all the options.
Exactly. And that's not a quality you often hear about in real estate testimonials.
Right.
It suggests that they have a strong sense of ethics and they're not afraid to challenge the status quo to advocate for their clients.
Yeah, it's like they're not just closing deals. They're building relationships based on trust and advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be what ultimately sets them apart and drives their success.
It's a fascinating insight into how a client-centric approach can actually lead to better outcomes for everyone involved.
Okay, so we've got responsiveness, helpfulness, expertise, and now we're seeing these strong advocacy skills.
Yeah.
But is there anything about their ability to handle like really challenging situations?
Well, there's Judy's story, remember? She was dealing with her husband's illness and the COVID shutdown while trying to sell her condo.
Yeah, that one was tough.
Talk about a stressful situation, right?
Yeah.
And she talks about how Team Renick went above and beyond to help, even clearing out the condo and donating items to charity.
That's amazing. They really stepped up to support her during a difficult time.
Exactly. It shows a level of empathy and a willingness to go beyond just the transaction to support their clients' well-being.
Okay, so they're not just great realtors, they're also compassionate human beings.
It certainly makes you wonder if that same compassion translates into how they negotiate on behalf of their clients.
Right. We know they advocate for their clients, but how do they handle the actual negotiation process?
Yeah.
Are they tough but fair?
Mm-hmm.
Do they prioritize building relationships, even during negotiations?
Let's see if we can find any clues in these remaining testimonials.
Yeah, let's keep digging.
Okay.
Okay, so let's dive back into these testimonials and see if we can find any clues about Team Renick's negotiation style.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Like, how do they balance being strong advocates for their clients
Right.
while also, maintaining those positive relationships they seem to be known for?
Yeah. Here's one that might shed some light on that. Bessie and Tim's story. They were moving from out of state, and they were really worried about all the logistics of everything.
Right. They were buying in a community with like a lot of specific rules and regulations.
Exactly. And they said they felt totally overwhelmed, but Team Renick just handled all the details seamlessly. Like coordinating with the HOA, making sure all the paperwork was in order,
So even though it was a really complicated situation, it sounds like they were able to anticipate potential problems and just proactively address them.
Right. And if you think about it, that kind of proactive problem solving is actually a form of negotiation in itself.
Oh, that's interesting. They're negotiating with potential obstacles before they even become issues.
I like that, yeah. It's like they're playing chess thinking several moves ahead
Exactly.
to make sure everything goes smoothly for their clients.
And that strategic thinking, combined with their, clear communication and responsiveness, it seems to be a key factor in their ability to navigate those complex negotiations and achieve those favorable results.
Okay, but what about situations where they're actually negotiating with another party,
Right.
like during a sale or a purchase?
Here's one that might give us some insights into that. Remember Earl's testimonial? He was selling his condo,
Oh, yeah.
and he was really anxious about getting the best possible price.
Yeah, he was initially like hesitant to even list with them because he thought they wouldn't be aggressive enough in negotiations.
Right, but he was blown away by their strategy. They didn't just like list it at the highest price and hope for the best.
Right.
They really took the time to understand the market, to identify potential buyers, and to craft a compelling narrative around the property.
So they focused on like highlighting the unique value of the property and positioning it in a way that would resonate with the right buyers.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that approach clearly worked because they were able to generate multiple offers
Wow.
and ultimately secure a price that exceeded Earl's expectations.
That's great. So it sounds like they're able to achieve those great results for their clients without resorting to, those aggressive tactics or compromising their integrity.
Exactly. And that's a testament to their skill as negotiators.
Yeah.
They understand that negotiation is not about winning or losing.
Right.
It's about finding a solution that benefits everyone involved.
Okay, so they're clearly skilled negotiators.
Yeah.
But is there any evidence of their, compassion and empathy actually playing a role in the negotiation process?
Let's see. Tom and Marcia's story. They were selling their home during the COVID shutdown.
Oh, yeah.
And they were understandably really worried about the impact on the market.
Right? That was a time of great uncertainty for everyone.
Absolutely. And they were especially concerned because they were downsizing and needed to find a smaller home in a very specific price range.
Right. So they were dealing with a lot of emotional and financial pressure on top of the already stressful process of selling their home.
Exactly. And Team Renick recognized that. They didn't just focus on the transactional aspects of the sale. They took the time to understand their anxieties.
Right.
And to provide that reassurance and support throughout the whole process.
That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers and the logistics, but ultimately real estate is about people and their lives.
Right. And it sounds like Team Renick really gets that. They were able to empathize with their situation and to negotiate with potential buyers in a way that was both effective and compassionate.
So it's not just about getting the best price or the quickest sale.
Right.
It's about understanding the human element and finding solutions that work for everyone.
Precisely. And that's a testament to their emotional intelligence and their ability to build relationships based on trust and understanding.
Okay, so we're seeing that they're not only skilled at negotiating, but they also do so with empathy and compassion, even in those challenging situations.
Right.
But is there anything about their ability to handle unexpected situations during negotiations?
Let's see. Dave's story might give us a little insight there.
Okay.
He was initially hesitant to work with them because he described himself as a tough nut to crack.
Oh, interesting.
He didn't trust easily.
So he was probably expecting a more traditional, hard-nosed approach to negotiations.
Exactly. But he was pleasantly surprised by their patience and understanding. They didn't try to push him or pressure him into making a decision.
So they were able to adapt their approach to meet his specific needs and communication style.
Precisely. And that flexibility is key in any negotiation, especially when you're dealing with someone who might be, initially resistant or distrustful.
It's not about forcing a one-size-fits-all approach on everyone.
Right.
It's about being adaptable and finding a way to connect with each client on a personal level.
And it seems like Team Renick understands that. They were able to build rapport with him, earn his trust, and guide him through that negotiation process in a way that felt comfortable and supportive.
So their ability to handle those unexpected personalities and adapt to different communication styles seems to be another strength that contributes to their success.
Absolutely. And that speaks to their, emotional intelligence and their ability to build relationships with people from all walks of life.
Okay, so we've got responsiveness, helpfulness, expertise, advocacy skills, compassion, and now we're seeing their adaptability and their ability to handle challenging personalities.
Yeah.
This is shaping up to be quite an impressive picture of Team Renick.
It certainly suggests that their client-centric approach isn't just a marketing gimmick.
Right.
It's a core philosophy that drives everything they do.
And it's clearly paying off, both in terms of achieving those positive outcomes for their clients and building a reputation for excellence in the real estate industry.
But what about those situations where a client has, specific needs or requests that might seem a bit out of the ordinary?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. How does Team Renick handle those?
Let's see if we can find anything in these remaining testimonials that sheds some light on that.
Okay, so let's see if these last few testimonials reveal anything else about Team Renick's approach. We've seen they're responsive, they're proactive, they're great negotiators. But what about when a client has a very specific or unusual request?
Yeah, good question. It's easy to be accommodating when things are straightforward, but how do they handle those curveballs? This one might be relevant. Erica's testimonial talks about how she had this lifelong dream of moving to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And
it sounded like she was ready to make a big life change.
Exactly. And she wanted to find a condo that was move-in ready in a very specific location within a tight time frame. It wasn't just about finding any property.
Right.
It was about making her dream a reality.
So how did they respond to that kind of pressure? Did they deliver?
Well, according to Erica, they did. She was amazed by how quickly they understood her vision and found her the perfect condo
Wow.
within a matter of days.
That's incredible. It sounds like they were able to really tap into their market knowledge and hustle to make it happen for her.
Right. And if we connect this back to their overall approach, it reinforces the idea that they're not just focused on transactions. They're focused on helping people achieve their goals. It's about understanding those deeper motivations behind the real estate decision.
Okay, so they're great at finding dream homes. They're great at negotiating tough deals. But what about after the sale is done?
Right.
Do they just disappear, or do they continue to support their clients?
Excellent point. We've touched on this a bit already, but Randy's testimonial might be a good example here. He and his wife were buying a retirement home, which is a huge decision.
Oh, yeah.
And it took them several years to find the right place.
Wow.
And Team Renick was with them every step of the way.
So even though it was a long process with no immediate payoff, they stayed committed to helping them find that perfect fit.
Exactly. And Randy emphasizes that they never felt pressured or rushed. Team Renick was happy to answer questions, offer insights, and just be a sounding board as they explored different options.
That's amazing. It speaks to a level of patience and dedication that you don't always see in the real estate world.
And what's fascinating to me is that this long-term approach actually makes good business sense.
Right.
Because if you build that kind of trust and rapport with clients, they're more likely to come back to you in the future.
Of course.
Or refer you to their friends and family.
It's like the opposite of that high-pressure sales tactic.
Right.
They're playing the long game, focusing on building those relationships that last.
And that seems to be a core part of their success. They're not just closing deals. They're creating a network of satisfied clients who become advocates for their business.
Okay, so it seems like we've covered all the major themes from these testimonials: responsiveness, proactiveness, expertise, negotiation skills, and that impressive long-term commitment to their clients. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this deep dive?
Well, I think it's worth noting that even though we've analyzed these testimonials piece by piece, the real power of their approach lies in the combination of all these elements. It's not just about being nice or being knowledgeable. It's about the synergy of all these qualities working together.
It's like they've created a whole new paradigm for what it means to be a successful realtor. It's not just about closing deals. It's about creating win-win situations where everyone feels valued and supported.
Exactly. And that's a powerful lesson, not just for the real estate industry, but for anyone in a service-oriented profession.
Right.
It's a reminder that genuine care combined with expertise and a commitment to exceeding expectations can lead to really remarkable results.
So as you consider working with Team Renick or even just evaluating other service providers in your life, remember this. Look for those who demonstrate that same level of responsiveness, proactiveness, and genuine dedication to their clients.
Because in the end, it's not just about the service itself. It's about finding people you can trust and rely on. People who are truly invested in your success and well-being.
That's a great takeaway. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Team Renick. It's been enlightening, to say the least.
My pleasure. And as always, the most valuable insights come from listening to the experiences of others. It's a reminder that success is often found not in following a formula, but in forging genuine connections and going the extra mile to make a positive impact.